Welcome to Coach's Corner. I am Coach Joe. I am super stoked to have this opportunity to bring you the inside scoop of our FP coaches around the FP world. Today we're with franchisee of Fitness Premier Mantino and Fitness Premier Bourbonnais and our FP Corporate Leadership Coordinator, Mike Orwig. Mike, tell us a little bit about yourself.
First of all, Joe, thanks for asking me. I appreciate it.
No problem.
I know this has been a lot of work, and the work that you put in so far, I'm extremely impressed. So just the opportunity to be able to sit here next to you and be a part of this from way back in 2011, and I'll get into that, but I just appreciate the opportunity.
Awesome.
So I'm Mike, 45-year-old guy who just loves to exercise, and I've done a lot of different things in my life. I have 2 kids, 2 girls actually. I have a wife who I've been married to almost 25 years, who I met on a blind date, and we actually broke up after the blind date, but then she stuck with me through the blind date and kept badgering me until I decided to stay with her after that blind date. So it's funny how God brings you things, but that definitely pulled me through it. So without her to be able to be a part of this from the start, I don't know where I'd be, because she's kept me grounded throughout this entire process.
Absolutely. So 3 women in your house and you.
Yeah, 3 women and a female dog too.
And a female dog.
A female dog, yeah.
So you've got a lot of estrogen around you.
That's right. That's right.
So this is going to be a blast, Mike. Coach's Corner, just so everybody knows, is going to be, we're going to bring you weekly updates about our coaches around the FP world and the FP Live world. Fitness Premier's mission is to create a community where we depend on each other and hold each other accountable. We never settle. We rely on and trust one another. We see greatness and we will pull it out of each other. We are FP. We are one team, one dream. So let's get the show on the road, Mike. Tell us a little bit about when and what drew you to the FP world.
Oh, thank you. Number one, that mission statement is the main reason. I've heard that mission statement over and over and over again, and every time I've heard it, I've picked it apart, and I've really brought me back to the first time I met Jason, and when he created Cardinal Fitness and eventually became Fitness Premier. He said those words, and when he said it, I didn't have to believe it. I saw it in his body language, and he's created this brand that we've grown to love with Fitness Premier. And 2011, when he brought it to my attention, when I was a school teacher and a director of operations at Hidden Coast Sportsplex, we were fortunate enough to have a Fitness Premier inside of our facility.
Oh, okay.
And Jason and I became friends throughout that entire process. And I one day just asked Jason, and to this day, if I wouldn't have asked him this question, I don't know what I would be doing now. Probably still a school teacher. But I asked him, what do I need to do to be a part of Fitness Premier? And he said, are you serious? And I said, it's funny you ask. So then a 2-hour later lunch and eventually dinner and meeting with my wife, he gave me the opportunity to come on board and be a manager at Mantino Fitness Premier. And I had a great job, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't what I saw myself doing for the rest of my life. And I always wanted to, be a part of a fitness industry or some type of business where I felt like I was making an absolute difference in not only my financial life, but also somebody else's life. So,
absolutely.
I've seen it from the beginning, and I've seen it from where we're at now, and I know where we're going from here. And once we do get through this year, I'm 150,000% confident that we're doing what needs to be done in order to keep pushing forward. And this is just a small little incremental step, and people like you and people like us, working together, but also people out there who want to continue to thrive both mentally and physically. That's what keeps me motivated, and I'm doing it absolutely what I love.
Yeah. So fitness and sports have been a part of your life for a long time, right?
Yeah. I was I've been very fortunate in my life to be, blessed with a lot of athletic ability, but I wasn't ever good enough to do anything beyond college.
Yeah.
So I got into school teaching. When I got my teaching degree, I said, I guess I'll apply for a job now. I got a teaching degree. And I was fortunate enough to get offered the job at the first interview at a small school in Gardner, South Wilmington.
Oh, okay.
And they offered me the head baseball job, and I knew very little about baseball. I played it, but I didn't know how to coach it.
Yeah.
So right from the start, I've always been, I guess you would call, a leader.
Okay.
And then 2 years later, I got my master's degree. I started my master's degree because I saw myself doing, again, something more. And it was also an opportunity to learn more about administration and leadership. And I surrounded myself with amazing people who taught me a ton. And if you know anything about me, I'm always listening. And when I'm listening, I'm conceptualizing what we're talking about because I want to learn from other people.
Yep.
So I try and surround myself with people like Jason and yourself, and emulate what I need to do in order to pick up little bits of pieces of what needs to be done in order to continue to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's pretty awesome. I mean, it's a story that I've heard multiple times. It never gets old. Mm-hmm. Knowing that you came from a teaching background to, you were principal, right?
About a year and a half.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So full leadership side of things and all that. I know that actually Mike, I am the head programmer here, but Mike used to be the programming person guru here for a little while, correct? What is, because we do want to talk, we want to get to know you personally, but we also want to talk about fitness on this one. So what is your number one training type? What's your favorite kind of training? All that.
Personally speaking, for me, I've probably tried hundreds or probably thousands of different ways to exercise, and there's a plethora of ways to do it. But for me speaking, just to you and to you, Joe, I love weight training. I love the old school way of lifting: push one day, pull one day, and incorporating as much cardiovascular exercise at the conclusion of each exercise, so it keeps my heart rate in the proper fat burning zone. This is why I love the My Zone, because it really tracks me not just during my workout, but also keeps me on track, setting those monthly goals and quarterly goals, and then also competing against other people. So I need that to keep me motivated. But going back to your original question, I love weight training, and I'm a big advocate of doing any type of HIIT style training.
Okay.
Using cardiovascular exercise as the benefit of that.
Perfect. So that's probably how you got the biggest biceps, doing all that weight training, right, in the company. It is debatable though now.
I've never said that. I was given that title back in 2011 when I did my first compete bodybuilding show, and
you did shows.
Yeah.
See, I did not know that.
Yes. So I competed and I did very well. I won my class, and I always said, if I finish on top, I'm going to stay there. I'll do it again.
So you never did it again?
Yeah, never did it again. But yeah, I was given that title, the best arms in Kankakee County. And apparently it hit home with a lot of people because you go to YouTube and you can see it, and people still watch to this day. But
really,
there's people that still say it to this day, just like my childhood nickname. People call me that. But
what's that?
I'm not going to say.
One day I'll get it out of them. That's funny. So a lot of our members might not know that you are very knowledgeable in the leadership side of things. That's how you got to this point. And that you are also a John Maxwell leadership coach. What are some of the most influential people that you would recommend for our members, our staff, anybody that's watching this to pay attention to, and you have that research behind you. So give me your favorite.
Yeah, that's a great question, Joe. There's plenty of leadership gurus out there. And again, in the beginning, I kind of talked through, surrounding myself with people who know more about a topic than me. But still to this day, I wouldn't consider myself like a guru in that. I just continue to adapt, but also try anything, but learn from every single time I go through something. So I'm a big believer, and I'm still a big believer, and I always will be a believer in just not giving up. But I learned that from some of the leaders that have taught me throughout, becoming a teacher to a coach, now eventually an operator. One of my biggest inspirations, my high school football coach, his name's Dean Capel. It started with him, and then it, grew into, Todd Durkin, who ended up being my, coach, who I joined a mastermind, who's in the fitness industry. If you know anything about Todd Durkin, he's very well known in the industry, and he has his own podcast out there. And then going back to who you alluded to was John Maxwell. I was fortunate enough with Jason Markowitz, our franchisor. We partnered together and went to that conference. And those 3 days, I took more away from anything. And that really kind of molded me into the person I am today. So my goal is to just influence people, but I would also challenge people in our world not just to focus this from the fitness side, but also, when you learn from people in your industry, whatever it is, like you're benefiting yourself in so much more ways when you're working on the mental side instead of just always the physical side.
So John Maxwell is probably one. Any other tidbit people besides Todd Durkin, which is amazing.
Yeah. Simon Sinek is a great one.
Perfect.
Simon Sinek's phenomenal. He Starts With Why is a great book. I highly recommend that book.
Very good book. One of the few books that I've read.
There's 2 Navy SEALs out there, and they're very well known. David Goggins and Jocko Willink are 2 podcast people that I follow, and I get a 3 to 5 minute video sent to me every single morning, and that's pretty much how I start my day. And it's not where you start, it's where you finish.
Yep.
And it's one of the things that I've always heard, but now I fully can grasp the meaning behind that. So I start my day with that, but I also finish with it.
Perfect. So all of that is just, it's pretty amazing. If you've never done any leadership stuff or any of those kind of podcasts, that kind of stuff to listen to, that's really the only thing that I personally also listen to. So it's pretty amazing that,
I do want to point this out. So I stopped listening to music about 6 years ago. And I was always a music guy when I worked out.
Yeah.
And I was looking for something different. Well, a guy that I followed at that time, who I was working out with, just mentioned to me just to put on a podcast and just listen to it. And since that day, I haven't listened to music one time since I've worked out.
Be hard for me.
It's just flooding your thoughts with positive thinking.
Positive instead.
Yeah, and even from the educational piece, like I'm learning on a specific topic right now on not just influencing yourself, but also influencing others. That's what I'm listening to. So it's a weekly podcast. And for me, it's about growth, not just physically, but also mentally.
Perfect. That's especially, saying that, when I was thinking of that, most of my music that I listen to when you work out is the angry music. Mm-hmm. The loud music, the heavy music. So to kind of change it up, that probably will. I'm going to give that a shot.
Mm-hmm. I would recommend it.
So it's pretty amazing, your story and everything. Over the last 10 months, pretty much everything has changed. Mm-hmm. In the fitness industry, in our lifestyle, all that. But we can all agree that one thing has remained, that fitness, health, nutrition, all that is going to be more important, or as important or more important than it was 10 months ago. So I'm going to end all of these. What's the number one thing that you can give tip-wise to anybody to keep moving forward, get back into a routine, take the routine to the next level, whatever it may be?
One of my favorite sayings that Coach Capel said to us, and it's stuck with me to this day. And again, at the point when you hear it, but do you really know the true meaning behind it? So I say this with the best intention, and it's so simple, but it's 100% accurate, especially this time. Progress is progress. So what I mean by saying progress is when you're doing something, you're going to see some sort of progress because you're always moving forward. Mm-hmm. So I tie in the moving forward concept, but also seeing progress, any type of progress at all, is more than what you're doing now, which is nothing.
Yeah.
And along with that, the clock is ticking. How many times have we heard that? The clock is ticking. And the clock is ticking. 2020, we can't go backwards.
No. And it went fast.
Right.
It actually went really fast.
It's November.
Yeah.
And you look back and you're like, wow, maybe I could have done something different during those times. And there's many challenging times over the course of the last 8 months where I questioned myself and some decisions that we were making or I was making. And I'm the only one that can create the outcome of that. I'm
Absolutely.
the only one that can write my story. So the clock is ticking for me, just like you.
Yep.
I'm 45 years old, and there's nothing else that I want to do other than what I'm doing now. So this is my choice. I've made it, and I'm going to continue to move forward by creating a culture within a community of people, and I want people with us.
Perfect.
And I want to help as many people as possible to kind of get out of the rut and just continue to move forward, because progress is progress.
That's awesome. That's great advice, Mike. Like, I always preach the same thing. Mm-hmm. I'm going to end this with my typical statement is that we have to unleash our inner athlete. It is my belief that we are all athletes. Even if you're a walker, and just on a consistent walking program. You know, yoga, the thorough guns that we just brought into a couple of our clubs, any recovery sessions, all of that. You know, your high level athletes do it. You know, why shouldn't we? Even though that's progress. You know, stepping into the gym, that's your progress. Progress is progress. Sometimes it's the most scariest thing for somebody to walk into the gym for that first time.
Even when you're falling down, you're falling forward. Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
you know, we learn from our mistakes.
You got it. Yeah.
So it was pretty amazing. It's been a blast, Mike.
Thanks, Joe.
I'm really glad that you were able to come in and sit down with me. As I stated, if you're just a runner, a gym junkie, an elite athlete, it doesn't matter. We are all athletes. We need to unleash our inner athletes. Thank you, Mike, for joining us. Till next time, I am Coach Joe, and this is Coach's Corner.
Thank you.